So that's where we are with Bitcoin, unless you have anything else on it. I am curious. I mean, we've been talking about it every time you've been on now for months, but and it's funny because literally like right now, when you were on only a month ago or so, but we've got Ethereum basically hitting another new low against BTC ratio wise. Like every time BTC starts to pop up, obviously ETH has come up against USD since Bitcoin has started to pump, but we've seen it. This is really Bitcoin's time right now. I mean, it's time to shine here since the election over the last 3 weeks. You know, we've seen it literally, and people forget because it's so short. I mean, it's gone up 20K in like 2 weeks, which is insane. I mean, it hit a new all-time high barely, and now we're up to 95K. But ETH down to like 0.032, I think I saw at one point. Maybe it even still is right now on the ratio. So I'm curious what you're thinking here with ETH. It just, to me, I know we keep saying it till we're blue in the face, and it seems like you're psychotic at some point, but it's just like golden opportunity. I mean, like anybody, you know, that's been reaching out talking about, because obviously, you know, IRL friends and stuff will start reaching out to you, like, because you're the local crypto guy, and be asking about stuff. And for people with like maybe a low risk appetite, to me, I'm like, I mean, Ethereum is probably like the most cocksure buy you can make right now to, you know, get at least modest gains compared to the rest of the crypto industry and feel guaranteed about it. So, yeah, what do you think? What do you think about our friend Ethereum right now?
Well, I think Ethereum is on Google Trends. It just topped out around that 20 level, which is the same place it was in March, which is when Richard bought. And before that, we hadn't been at that kind of a level since September, I think it was, of 2022. So it's been a long time for Ethereum. You know, it's been out of the limelight for a while. Maybe it's, you know, some bad taste in people's mouths because they lost a lot of money on NFTs and they blame Ethereum for it or this or that. But that's all old. Like, that money's washed anyways. And the excitement's going to come back in a big way, and it's always around price action. I think that Ethereum is the most obvious contrarian play out there right now. And in terms of like performance, I mean, all you got to do is look at the freaking rainbow chart for Ethereum, and you'll see that it's holding up pretty damn good, better than Bitcoin. Even Bitcoin's down here in the blue bands. Let's see if I can find Ethereum here. ETH is in the middle of its band. So if you ran like a logarithmic curve on this, I mean, part of this is because ETH did not drop as low. So it's right dead nuts in the middle of its logarithmic band, sitting on top of it right now. So it's so healthy. ETH is so healthy. It's so useful. Infinite utility. DeFi built on it. Thousands of at least a dozen layer 2s worth of damn.
Yeah.
You know, layer 1s that can spread the load out. That's what we're doing. You know, and then you look at what it's doing. It's in this massive pennant pattern. And these, when they break, they bust huge to the upside. And I don't know if we could maybe find a pennant in here. Maybe not. Let's see. I think there's one back in here. Maybe something like this. It was like a falling wedge. But when I look at this pattern, this pennant that's created, when these break out, what you do is you measure from like bottom to top, and then from the breakout point, measure up the same. So how many bands did I go up? 1, 2, 3, 4 bands. 1, 2, 3, 4 bands. So the breakout target for ETH is above 10,000. Here's 10,000 right here, just on this pattern. So I mean, it's going to get its day in the sun. I think one of the reasons why I'm so excited for it is because I see guys on Twitter capitulating and putting their ETH into Bitcoin now, while the ratios, and those are the guys that are, you know, sad on their bags, and they're pushing this down below this level.
Yeah,
that's totally fine. And honestly, patience is going to be the best play here for the Ethereum guys, because, you know, if it goes like this and Bitcoin just continues to grind up, eventually that alt season comes, and that's where your big move comes. And so I don't know, we're back below the 0.3, what is that, 0.35 level. If I just bars pattern this out and give us a time frame, you know, it could look something like this, where we're testing this back up here in January of 2026. Imagine all of 2025, ETH hangs out around 3 to 5K, and Bitcoin just continues to climb. And then, or Bitcoin's climbing faster than ETH can grow against it. And but eventually there in this is where that longer cycle kind of comes in. 26, And then early 27, it tops out. I mean, that don't rule it out. I'm not going to say play it. I'm not going to say hang your hat on it, but consider that, Ethereum is a completely different asset than it was back here. This was a miner's asset back here. So it acted more like Bitcoin too. Now it's like deflationary and has all these different properties. It's a staking token, right? So ultrasound.money is a place that I like to go to look at supply and demand dynamics. Like, go like on an all time and see that since the merge, now ETH isn't bleeding 5 million Ethereum per year in inflation. It's actually been pretty much steady in terms of inflation. If I throw ETH proof of work on there, it would be total supply would be 129 million, but instead we're at 120 million flat. Bitcoin inflation is still increasing at an extra, percent, like 8.8% more than Ethereum is inflating right now. Matter of fact, Ethereum is not really inflating.
Right.
And go ahead.
Yeah, well, you would think that would be more bullish for Ethereum. I mean, with buy pressure, you're not getting that minor sell pressure that you had before. I thought it would have reacted differently.
Well, and I think it's just a matter of time, right? I don't think that maybe it just hasn't had enough time for that to play out. I mean, you got to think, how many miners had let's add up the global equipment costs. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars of equipment costs that had to get paid for. Well, that's why this is happening to Ethereum, is because all those miners that had equipment have to become made whole somehow. And so you're just kind of working through all that extra supply of Ethereum. And, as those mining companies move on to other ventures, like I think that's part of what led into this extended downside on ETH. Once that's all kind of bottomed out, like we're not bottomed out yet. It's still, catching a falling knife against Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But against the dollar, super stable, super stable. As a matter of fact, it's holding up quite well.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's fair to compare ETH to Bitcoin at this point. But when this thing breaks, it's going to break in a big way. So let's just find a target. Let's say it breaks out, not too long from now, maybe sometime next year. That's your $8,000 target, easy, which turns the SAC money into like, over $1 billion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then we could take it a step further. And I made a post about if you take the original bars pattern from the very first cycle and I point out two peaks. And if that just plays out again, then we had our first peak last cycle. And the second, here's a Ben Cohen. I'll get to that. Ben Cohen, he's saying like, ETH BTC bottoms potentially Q2 2024 when quantitative tightening ends, same as it did in 2019 and then in 2016. So every 4 years going into that new year, it's like that's where it's bottomed in the past. So I think Ben is pretty much on point. Have been following him for years, and he's always been the voice of reason.
Yeah.
But then when you look at this one, peak number 1, all the way back in 2017. Hold on a second. Let me get peak number 2, 2018. Peak number 1 was 2021. And so you can see how this pattern is playing out. It's just playing out across way more time.
Mm-hmm.
And so
on a bigger scale.
And on a much bigger scale, there's hundreds of valuable, if not thousands of valuable dApps on Ethereum now, which is a lot different, which is part of why the downside this cycle wasn't as bad for Ethereum. Back here, we went down like minus 95% or something crazy. This cycle, we didn't get that drawdown. As a matter of fact, it held up better in the bear market than Bitcoin did.
Yeah. That's, I think, it's something that a lot of people, and again, I mean, ETH looks so bad against BTC right now, but I think people do forget that. People were calling for $500 ETH, and we got maybe 850, 875 for a day, So,
It didn't last long. What about the ETFs for ETH? I mean,
positive inflows, according to Crypto Money Gang. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, because I haven't seen any numbers. Like I know it's not anything near what Bitcoin's getting, but you kind of wonder when they're going to shift, right? I mean, they're going to get what they need for their portfolio, and then they're possibly, I think, going to, switch over to Ethereum's ETF as well.
Yep. I'm with you on that. I am. I think it's just a matter of time. And I wonder if a lot of the Bitcoin money that's made in the future in this cycle is paper money that they never touched Bitcoin, they never used it. And so all of that Bitcoin gains is sitting on some centralized counterparty's ledger internally. And so when they rotate into Ethereum, if they're going from paper Bitcoin into paper ETH, that never hits the blockchain. And so there's no supply imbalance, but that actually opens up an avenue for the crypto OGs, like your Richard Hart, Justin Sun, and the big whale pods that are out there, to absorb all that supply and force the market to have to adapt to a changing supply and demand dynamic. So it actually opens up for the possibility of, then even if like organizations thought they had control of that whole game and be able to stop the rotation, so to speak, it's impossible because of the on-chain reality of decentralized exchanges. So it's just a matter of time till that dam breaks. And I mean, this peak too, according to this projection, basically just taking these peaks and kind of timing them up with these little peaks here. I mean, you're looking at $17,000 ETH this cycle, and that's all the way out in 27, late 27. So now, do I have a crystal ball? No. Can I tell you with 100% certainty that's the price and that's the time? No. But generally, you can see that this pennant pattern is going to break up at some point with a low side target of 8,000, which means pulse chain guys, we're safe. We're good.
Yeah.
Verifiably, we're good.
That's the big thing that everybody wonders too. I mean, even the 8K is kind of like the paltry price for Ethereum that people have been rallying around. And yeah, you're right. That SAC wallet's going to have quite a bit of USD in it by that point. So a 2x off of that will definitely make a difference for sure.